I'm going to welcome everyone here. Thank you for coming out. This is the first session of Nage no Kata, the forms of throwing. This has 5 sets in it, and each set has 3 techniques in it. So that's 15 throws, but every technique is done on the left side as well as the right side. So in effect, you have 30 throws to do if you do the full set. My goal in this month is to just cover the first 3 sets. That's usually the requirement for the Shodan candidates, 3 sets. During this time, though, we're going to start off today with working more on some of the key points of the kata, and then we'll go into the first set. So I'm going to basically wait until next week to do the opening ceremonies, the opening and closing bow type things. So we won't do that today. This kata, again, involves a tori, who is the thrower, and the uke is the receiver, the person being thrown. From a tori's point of view, you might have heard the words kazushi, tsukuri, and kake. Those we always say, those are the 3 elements of a throw. Kazushi being the drawing of off balance. The tsukuri is the fitting in of the position of tori into the throw. And then there's the kake, the actual finishing of the throw. One thing to think about, though, is those are just 3 ways of describing an element of a throw. Don't think of it as blocks. Don't think of you do the kazushi first, then move on to the tsukuri, and then move on to the kake. It's all sort of a continuum. You have to maintain the kazushi all the way through. You have to maintain the positioning all the way through to the finish. Okay, so we often chunk that out and say, first thing you got to do is kazushi. Well, really, a lot of it is getting the person in motion and figuring out where his imbalances and so on. So again, kazushi, tsukuri, and kake are just 3 categories, but they're not chunks. Don't think of it as pieces. Think of them as integrated. Okay. Another terminology thing is called the grips that you have. In other words, if you're holding the sleeve, this becomes called hiki-te. Hiki means pull, te means hand. So this is a pulling hand, the one that's on the sleeve. The other one that's on the collar, that's called tsurite. So if you remember some of the throws that you have in your gokyo, there's one called, let's say, tsurigoshi, lifting hip throw. So again, hand is te, and in this case, tsurite is a lifting hand. Okay, so you got hikite, you got tsurite. Both of these are involved in getting your person off balance, usually. Okay. Now, there's another thing called kumikata. You might have heard that. It's gripping. Nan, can I bore you for a sec here? This is one difference when it comes to competitive people. In other words, when we grip competition-wise, when you're doing uchikomi, you tend to hold down lower. You need to pull high to get that same effect here. Pull down high. And you really have to pull high when you're doing this in uchikomi. But for kata, efficiency, one of the things we talk about is efficiency. For me to get that same pull, if I'm holding a little bit higher here, either on the bottom or up by the elbow, and I do the same pull, I'm going to get immediate reaction. So it's more efficient. It doesn't have the thinking that I need to block this guy from getting my grip, and so I'm going to force it down all the time. No, this is just taking grip and being efficient at it. So again, by holding here, then this distance does not have to be pulled because you get immediate pull. If you're up here and I do the same pull, I haven't created the same position. Okay? So one of the things you have to think about when you're doing Nage no Kata is basically to cut off the lower part of the jacket. There's nothing to hold down here. Hold up high. You look at the old Kodokan pictures of Kano and Sao, you notice how short their judogis are? The sleeves are short, the pants are short. Those are all short, so maybe another explanation is that because they didn't have sleeves down here, they tend to hold up higher up on the arm. So one thing is you're gripping, do not need to grip down low. If you grab, let's say about the elbow, and you start to pull, then it might slide down below the elbow, but you still grip high to start off with. So it's a better efficiency that way. Okay. The other thing that Tori has to understand is kazushi. Where's the imbalance? Right now, Uke is standing square-footed. We talk about the point of the triangle all the time, right? The weak spot is coming to the front. So if I pull this way, he's weak. If I go back, he's weak. If he takes a forward stance, okay, then he's got blockage to the front, blockage to the rear. But there's still that point of the triangle, which is now over here. So if we take our partner and start to push him to the front corner, that's imbalance. Okay, so understand the direction of imbalance. A term you might heard is a happo no kazushi. There's actually 8 different directions of imbalance, but we won't go there. For now, just think about sort of the point of the triangle. The other thing we talk about for balance, remember to get kazushi, you have to be off balance, is to have your partner's center of gravity pass his base of support. His base of support is his feet. That's what he's standing on. To get him off balance, we have to get him forward. Okay? If he's standing with the right foot forward, here, we talk about him being fairly solid, but if I can get his center of gravity, which is here, over top of his foot, past his foot, center of gravity past that, then he's off balance. So if we can get our partner to be up like that, that's imbalance. You might have heard the word Superman pose. I want my uke to be like Superman here, flying away up in the air. So that's where I want it to be. I don't want it to be down low. Okay? So by doing this type of pull up in the front, then he's off balance. And again, from here, you know that there's different throws where you can come across and just throw because he's in that Superman position. Right? So that's the imbalance. So kazushi, direction of the point, or center of gravity pass to the base of support. Okay, Jerome. Uke's got a really important job. First of all, we talked about kazushi, tsuki, and kake. Whose job is it to do the kazushi, tsuki, and kake? It's Tori's job. Uke does not do that. Uke is just, his role is to position himself to be off balance. Okay? So kazushi, tsuki, kake. If I see Uke jumping into a throw, that means Tori didn't do his job. Tori's the one that has to do the throwing. Okay? So as a kata team, not as competitors, as a kata team, you have to display the kazushi, the tsuki, and the kake. In other words, Uke is allowing himself to be slightly off balance before he gets thrown. He's not fighting it. Okay, you're working as a pair. You're trying to demonstrate the principles. So in this case here, Uke has to think that he doesn't do the jumping, because if Tori does his job, then he's going to go. Okay. Another thing that Uke has to do, though, is that he has to show resistance. He has to say that I don't want to be thrown. In other words, again, that's why you don't want him to jump. So that comes back to every time that you're moving him forward, he stiffens up this way. Like he's saying, I don't want to be thrown. Okay, so as an uke, you have to have good, strong core. And to do that, there's different exercises that you can do. And maybe to get you guys going now, I want you just to go down into a plank position. So a plank position, you just go down in your front, here, try to keep your body straight as possible. Here. All right, you stiffen up your gut here, and you maintain the core. I believe on the other week, your sensei was having you do this for hours or something like that. Okay, so just core position now. Get going. Back straight. Some of the bums are up in the air a bit there. Down, down, down. And if you want, get in front of a partner, head to head, and just do the high five. Make a game of it. Okay, so if you haven't seen the high five, come on out here. So what you do is plank and then alternate high five. Are they low fives? They should be high fives. Let's try another one then. I want one person to go into tabletop and the other man doing Superman on top. Okay, so Eric, you want to go with tabletop? And then you get to do the Superman. Okay, so gut on the middle, arms up, and Superman yourself that way. Find the balance point. So again, this is what you're going to feel like when you're being lifted up in Kataguruma, one of the techniques we're looking at. So
should they have feet together so
yeah,
they get used to doing
yeah,
it?
feet together, feet together. Superman. Again, hopefully you weren't horseshoes or whatever, that you're straight as narrow. That's what you want to have. Work your core. Again, in competition, you know that if you're blocking, you want to have strong core here. You know, if you're driving, a lot of times it comes from here. So core is a really important thing, especially when you get into other katas, as you will see. Okay, next thing I want to just look at is ukemi, breakfalls. You're going to be doing a lot of them, of course, and there's different kinds of landings. One of the things I want you to consider, though, is your Zempo Kaiten when you're moving ahead, okay? What I'm going to demonstrate is what you might normally see at the beginning, so that when people do start off with Zempo Kaitens, a lot of times they tell you, well, go down your knees here, put your hand to the back, hand to the back there, and just roll ahead and do a break fall. This means that you tend to turn yourself inwards. In other words, this comes inwards, and you're basically doing a small roll, a small ball going ahead. I want you to take almost like one of those big, what do they call those balls? Exercise balls? You know, you want to have that type of size of a ball when you're going ahead. That's the other thing, is that you also want to point yourself ahead. If I have this line in the center, my Zempo Kaiten should be straight ahead. And that's dictated by my lead foot. If I start to do this, or turn and go over this shoulder, then you tend to go at an angle more. So if you turn this foot inwards, then if I do the same thing on the other side, then I go a bit to that side. What I want you to think about is going more straight ahead. So that means point your foot straight ahead. Don't have to jump, but extend yourself. Push yourself just here, rather than turn into a little ball. Okay, so extend yourself out here, pull yourself up, and then go down the center line better. Again, I want to go here and land straight ahead. You're on your side break fall. You're not double footing it. You're on your side. And if the momentum takes you into standing one, then so be it. But again, try to project yourself and not become a little ball. Be a big ball. You've probably done those other exercises like lapel break fall. Okay? Then, where he grabs the collar and goes basically up, and then down. Lands in the side, nice sound. That you hear the one slap, that's what you like to have. You really never want to hear a double slap. Okay? The other way is to do a belt break fall. And so the belt break fall, come this side again, is to grab the belt and turn yourself around the belt. You notice how big that circle is. He didn't crash downwards. He kept high up in the circle. Okay? This time, though, I think last time, where was your plant foot? Let me rewind you. Okay? When Nan steps up, his plant foot is about there. Okay? I'm going to have him just be a little bit further. Let me see if you can do it with your foot, let's say, stopping back here further away from me, and then roll. Okay? So in both cases, he's going ahead in a big circle with the belt break fall. The collar break fall, up and down, it's more a straight down thud. Okay, so just make sure that you're able to do either one of those break falls as an uke. At the beginning of these techniques, there's often a starting point where uke and tori approach each other. So I'm just going to have an uke and tori come out here. and assume that you've approached each other. So I'm not going to have you do the open ceremony part of it. I just want you to start off there. Okay? We'll initiate by starting to reach and grab, and then Tori will take over. What do I mean by that? Is that Tori is starting to pull slightly ahead. One of the things about Kazushi is it's always progressive, gradually becoming more and more and more. Okay? So often when we do the kata, and again, for grading purposes, this is probably fine, but I just want you to understand the theory, the principle of this. When Nan steps and Eric steps back, it should not be together, technically. What should happen is that Nan is going to start to reach, but then Tori is going to start to move back. When Uke reaches here, if I'm an Uke, when I'm reaching here, I'm expecting my Tori to be here. What Tori does when he starts to step back is actually just make me reach a little bit further. Right? It's sort of this thing called, I call it invisible Kazushi. There's in one of the other katas, there's this idea that somebody's going to try to grab here, hook here, and you just lean back as a Tori, and forces the Uke to try to reach just a little bit further, And so there's a little bit of more imbalance because he's thinking I'm going here, but now he's reaching there. There's a little bit of a Kazushi element there. But for our purposes here, we always see is walking straight ahead. You don't see that Kazushi really happening. But in theory, that's what should happen. When Nan is reaching here, I need to start moving and get his balance going right away. We don't start off here and just take grip and then go 1, 2. I need to try to get that invisible Kazushi going right away. So I'm moving back as he's stepping forward. Okay? And that's one of the things that we want to do when we start any of these techniques is that if you're starting the next technique or any techniques that involve this type of stepping, then it has to be Tori moving sooner. Okay? One other thing in terms of balance that I want you just to do quickly is to think about a thing called tsugiyashi. Stepping without having your feet come square, without having your feet come even. By having this position here, as you know as competitors, this is a more stable position. When you're moving ahead, you have balance. Same thing when you're moving back, you have balance. Okay? At no point do you really want to be, especially if you're a competitor, crossing your feet, for example, because that's very unbalanced. So with the tsugiyashi, I want you to think about having 2 railroad tracks coming off your feet so that when you're stepping forward or backwards, you're on that track. You're stepping back on that track. Okay? Later on, when you start to turn, yeah, you can step off the track and move around, but try not to be square because, as you know, that's not very stable. So whenever you're moving ahead, think about your balance. Tori and Uke have balance until something causes them to become unbalanced. And that's Tori's Kazushi. We start off with normal stance, stepping. What Tori is going to do is gradually increase the position of Uke. In other words, bring him slightly forward. Not a whole lot forward, just slightly. But in each step, there's an increase in Kazushi. So Tori, Uke, should not be stepping square, no problem, no imbalance. Every step that Uke takes, he's going to doing a first step, okay, second step, a little bit more pull, and the third step is the big pull, right? The big pull is to draw him, again, past his base of support. He does not duck underneath, though, when you do this one, because you don't want Uke to be jumping. He has to resist. I want him to be past his base of support. That one. Be past this base of support. How do I do that? A lot of times when we used to do it, we just say, drop your knee down and pull, and he'll go over. Really, I want to use my body and not so much my hands on this one. On this one, I need to pull this down, but I also need to steer him to the corner. Why? Because when we go down on our knees now, we're going to be in a bit of a triangle position. Remember those two tracks coming down the center here? When you drop, you're going to be dropping, but it's going to be a bigger stride than your first two strides. In other words, you're stepping one, you're stepping two, and then the third one is the big pull. So you're going to take a strong pull back. Okay? But try to keep your body square. Don't look here. So you're going to be trying to yank the guy down, but again, we're not going to yank him toward us. We're going to yank him over to the corner. So in this case here, the one that's on the collar, that's the one that steers him to the corner. This one that's on the sleeve, that's the one that yanks him downwards. So it has to be a strong pull here. But, Tori, have posture balance. So when you drop here, you should be pretty solid. Okay? So the third one is a bigger stride because now okay is expecting to be taking his regular steps, but because Tori took a bigger step, then he's now gone. Okay, so Eric, could you come in here again? Let's just take a look at the Uki Otoshi, stepping one, stepping two, and stepping three. Okay. And you saw that Uki went to the corner. And how did he achieve that? Again, Tori's right hand would have steered him into the corner. One other thing here, as a test or as a measure to say, did Tori take a bigger step? Is that when Tori is stepping here, 1, 2, now here, if he just drops right there, and my foot is, let's say, here, then my center of balance is not here. It's back here. So usually what you want to see is this foot is still back here because I'm taking my regular smaller strides and Uke is going to take a bigger stride. So there, yeah. There, you're gone. Because your foot is back here, but your center of gravity is way over here. There you go. Okay. So, you have to sort of cooperate by taking your normal smaller stances and then let Tori take the big stride. Then it's going to happen. If I anticipate and I know what's going to happen, I know he's going to drop down, then in that case here, when tries to take that bigger stride here, and I drop ahead, I move ahead with balance, and I can move him off balance, right? But we don't do that. We want to show the throw. So, your job again is to make sure you position yourself in the right place to do the throw. Key points on that, stepping ahead, regular strides, but when he starts to pull you down, you say, I don't want to get thrown, I'm going to have core here. And then that'll stiffen you up as you go over. Tori, when you're going back, Kazushi, this is not a Kazushi that goes up. Usually, how many times since they say, look at the wristwatch, pull your wrist up here. We're not trying to get Superman on this one. We're trying to get ourselves past that base of support. So this one, the very first one, just keep the arm falling until you're ready to drop. Bang. And then that'll be the strong pull. Try not to rely just on your hands to do the work. Rely on the body. The hands sort of lock in, and then the body steps back, and then you get the power. You get the power using your body, not your hands. And you don't have to rely on, doing the belt break full over here when his weight should be way ahead of him. All right, so let's just try that. Going back and forth this way with a partner, thinking about more of the positioning. Don't have to go fast, but let yourself think about the idea that you're trying not to be thrown by keeping your body core solid. Okay, everybody, some observations here. Again, some are holding below the elbow. Try to hold up by the, what's this area called? Triceps. There. So you get a strong pull. Some of you are relying on your hands too much and turning your body too much. In other words, what I see if we're going this way is that we start to drop here, but then we look at our partner all the way around and watch him over here. What we want to do is maintain this angle here, posture. So look ahead, don't look at your partner. Your partner will actually let go of both grips when he actually goes over, and Tori's the only one that maintains a grip here after the throw. So Tori's going to pull down hard with this, steer with this one, direct him to the corner with your tsurite, and your hikite will be pulling down to the hip. So it's for this type of action. You need to do this, okay? If you don't do this and you just do the pull and then rely on your body to rotate, then it's actually going to be off balance and doesn't have any power. And so your body is sort of the counterweight to pull the person down. Keep your posture, look straight ahead. Now, before you guys were born, the young ones, we used to do it more where we came down the line and we turned our body to the side so that our back foot went behind our front foot, and it was even this way, not the triangle. When you do this way, a couple things happen. One, you see that I don't get a big stride here because I just drop straight down. That means I didn't get maximum pull with my body because I didn't take that big stride. And so, okay, he gets to take a normal small stride and he's still in balance. The other thing when you do it this way is at the end of you're facing this way, and you're actually weak to that front corner because this back foot isn't doing anything for balance. Okay, so we don't do it that way anymore. We do it straight, more straighter, and more in the triangle here. Okay, so when you do this one, focus on pulling it down, and okay. Again, lock your leg and just go over and actually let go of that with that hand too, so you land with no grip on Tori. Good. Nice stiff body. Good. I think you have to hang on. He gets like you hang on. That's good posture. You're looking ahead. Excellent. Not balance up. Yeah. Okay, if you have the idea on your right side or whatever side you're practicing on, try the other side because again, every technique you have to do it left side and right side. So if you're normally a righty, that left step is going to feel awkward. Think about the principles of the technique. Okay, focus on the technique. Okay. Next time, I want you to keep your foot small, take a smaller step. Here, take the bigger step. So here, foot will probably be about here now, and that should force you now to do a big lean. Okay. Taking a big step, go through, and so by the time you drop, you're well past her foot, her lead foot. You don't want to be because you want to be Superman. If you're Superman here, you're upright. You're back here, and then she pulls. Yeah. That's the Superman position. That's when you're off balance. That's when she does the throw and not you. Where we practice the belt break fall from further back. Big stride. Yeah. So don't be afraid to move that foot back too if you're taking, like you want to create distance or space between you and okay. I see a dead toe there. Before we leave this one, I want you to just feel the Superman pose. Okay, so okay, and Tori, just work on seeing if Tori can get into this position. Body straight, leaning forward. All right, if you can feel that, then why don't you finish it off with the Tai Toshi? Even though Tai Toshi isn't part of the techniques here in Nage no Kata, it's the same principle. You want that center of gravity outside of the base of your support, which is your front foot, and then go, okay? As opposed to trying Tai Toshi where the guy is standing pretty stable because he took a big stride or something and he still has center of gravity over top of his base of support, the feet. You want to get that base center of gravity past that base of support. And that's sort of like your Tai Toshi. All right, so just experiment with that for a minute. I just want you to feel okay to feel what he should feel like when he's being thrown in uki goshi. Oh, toshi, uki toshi. Okay, try that. Use of the body, bigger stride than okay. Tori's taking bigger stride. Big. Looking at Seo and Nage. Before we do that, we have to practice Uke's role in this one. And Uke's role is to hit Tori. So we talk about doing Sugiashi all the time here. In this one here, to strike, you're doing what we call Aumiyashi, one foot, then the other side. So in this case here, you're going to be stepping with one foot, then stepping ahead with the other foot to do the strike. Okay, so this is not a Sugiashi type of strike. Okay? So to do this one here, what we want to do is to have our tracks there, step ahead, and be relatively square to our partner. The target in this case is going to be the top of the head or the top of the forehead. I forgot the Japanese, tento it's called, tento. Okay, so let me have a, okay, and Tori. Yeah. Come on. Yeah, hold here. So we have our Noke and a Tori. The starting distance is roughly about 2 meters apart, depending on the length of your strides and so on. But if Tori does nothing, then Uke is trying to do this attack. 1, 2. Okay? He's trying to attack. Now you notice right now he's gone square, and I don't know why he's gone square. Okay, his feet are gone square. All right, if just don't block it all. What I want him to do is to step 1, 2, and be able to reach that point. Reach the point on the forehead head area here. Okay. If he goes square on one square feet. Okay. If he does that, then he doesn't hit. So that's why it should be 2 full strides when you do this one. Rewind. You should be going left foot, right foot. There. All right, that's what you're going to do in 4 of the techniques if you're doing all 5 sets of the kata. 4 of these techniques. So it's really important to make this standard. In other words, the same attack is going to happen 4 different techniques when he does that. Okay. Now, as this is happening, though, this is where, again, competitors have to take off the competitive hat and put on a kata hat. The Ippon Seion Nage is not on the bicep. Not doing it on the bicep. We're doing it more on the shoulder top. The gripping, remember the efficient gripping? You're going to be grabbing high on Uke's right sleeve in this case, and high on his shoulder top, actually. So when it just step through again with the gripping this time, 1, 2, okay? It should be, rewind, this hand should have been way up high up here in this region here, right in the shoulder top area. The second hand is above the elbow, as we say, nothing below the elbow. And the throw will be more on the shoulder top here. It could be a bit on the corner of your shoulder, but it should be on the shoulder and not in your bicep. The bicep way is to have it down there, right? This is your normal competitive way of doing it. Normally with a competitive way, you're also going to throw them more around. You're going to throw them around to do the throw. So if you're doing a competitive bicep throw, okay, 1, 2 here, it's going to come around a bit more. What we want to have is more straight ahead. So when the throw is done, it should go really straight down that center line because it's not coming around anymore. It's coming over top. Okay? So the gripping is really important to achieve that type of throw. The other thing is that we also, when we do Seion Nage, we want the back to be in contact with the chest of Uke. Sometimes call that backpack. You want to wear them like a backpack. Okay? And that's not a single sling backpack. We want a full backpack put on. So how do we achieve that? When he's already just stepping 1, 2. So when OK steps 1, 2 to attack, 1, 2. He'll go left foot, right foot, okay? If he was to turn in and this person didn't do a thing, then when he turned in to go square, there's this big space here. You can see, just turn around the other way. There would be a space because OK is diagonal and Tori is square. So how does he achieve backpack? Because OK said, again, I don't want to be thrown. So when he's attacking, he's gone 1, 2, but the throw is going to start to pull his arm ahead. And that's where he squares up to say, I'm trying to block. I try to block with my chest here. So if I'm going 1, 2, and the throw starts to pull me ahead, then I turn my hip in to be square. What I mean by that is the square feet. Okay, so that OK is no longer at an angle. That way you achieve the backpack or the square chest to back. So again, in slow motion here, when he's stepping, 1, 2, at that point, the throw is starting to happen. He's already been, and this is where OK goes square and he shows his core. He's going to be stiff because he's still trying to resist the throw. But then now, this is where Tori can do the throw and be straight, like chopping wood down in front of you. He'll throw ahead. The other thing you notice when the throw happens on the kake is like usually at the clubs or whatever, you say throw and give them some support. We'll suck them underneath ourselves. We don't want to do that in kata. We want to project them away from us. So it's like, again, chopping an axe down in front of us. We want our OK to land away from us and not suck them back underneath. If you suck them underneath, just do the pull them in kind. Okay, so just take the throw. It pulls it in. Okay, you see how OK comes up? Because he's being pulled up by Tori here. So this doesn't demonstrate a good landing at all. OK, it's actually off his back and he's up in the air and so on. We really want him to land with a clean break fall away from us. So when Tori throws on this one, it's OK to be leaning, like have your upper body angle the head and still have balance, as opposed to doing this to get your vertical balance here. So again, we're projecting our partner ahead of us. Now again, the strike, as Eric did, Tori did before, so something I want you to do as a warm-up for this one, is to put your hands above the target, okay, above the target, not on your head. Have space in between your head and the hand here, and stop the action. In other words, that becomes your forehead that this guy is trying to hit. OK, he's trying to hit. He's going to do a hammer blow, and when you cock the hand, show it high. Have that fist above your head here. It's not down by your ear. So when you're stepping here, show it. So then Tori could also see the target that he's going to be grabbing. You hide it till the last moment, then it's hard for Tori to pick it up. So again, take your time to step and show that hand fist, and then step forward, but recognize, oh, the throw's happening, then you've got to square up. You've got to square up your body. And then the throw will go straight ahead. And if you do this with a stiff body, then you can see the pop. In other words, when the throw happens, the legs will shoot up right away. If the person has a weak core, then the throw happens and the legs stay down, and it's sort of a drag them over type of throw. It's kind of ugly. So you want to have a nice crisp landing. All these ones here, the kake part, the finishing part, tends to be very explosive. You want to have a nice quick landing. But the other part, don't rush it. Right? You want to have control and balance. So every time OK is attacking here, he's attacking with control, thinking he has control. It's when Tori starts to do the kazushi that he loses control. Tori, OK, does not throw himself off balance. In other words, if I attack and I miss the guy, I shouldn't be like this because I don't have control. So if I'm attacking here, I'm expecting to hit the guy, and if I miss, well, maybe it'd come down to about here. but I still want to have balance. I don't want to throw myself into this throw. All right, so one more time, guys. Figure out the distance that you come up with, show the hammer blow, and throw. Okay. Project your partner, land on the side. Good stuff there. Okay, but before you do that, let's do that other drill. And then step and hit the target. Yeah, hit the target. There. Nice and soft. Now just go ahead and do it from there. Right foot and hammer blow there. A lot of times that's more awkward. But you also focus on your front foot. Target is straight ahead. So your foot should be straight ahead. Sometimes you'll see the person step with their foot going this way and their hammer blow going this way. Doesn't make sense. All right, so everything's straight ahead with your target. All right, let's try that one. Work out the hammer blow first. Let's try that out. Focus. So if you're doing your left hand, you have to step forward with 1, 2, your right, left. Okay. Hammer blow. I should have gone a little bit more detail in the Tori side again. We talked about where you aim to grab. The other thing is that we also don't want to stop our partner from moving ahead. All right, guys. If I was an okay here, when I'm stepping here, what I don't want to have is Tori blocking my arm. So I'm coming down here. Time for me to, he didn't stop my hand. He merely sort of deflected and grabbed. He deflected and grabbed. So this hand's coming down. He's going to just deflect and grab and turn in. We're not trying to block, turn in, and then generate the force again. The force should be continual. So as you're doing this one here, as I'm stepping in here, it should be all continual. Yeah? Okay. No stop in the motion. Right? So now that we're done the hammer blow, try to do the throwing part, focusing on your 2 target areas, which is in the upper bicep area here, and way up here on the shoulder. Okay. At the Kodokan, they actually had everybody try to throw with just the surite, the upper. So basically, after you step in here, just with one hand, grab high here, and just basically launch the over. You know? And you can throw that way if you have everything nice and tight. Okay. So focus on that high hand, and try not to do a bicep seo nage. All right. So now that you have the hammer blow, same idea. Hammer blow, throwing, defense, square, backpack, straight over top. Straight over top. Don't lean back on those.
On the striking?
Yeah, when you're striking, just
want to go that or just stay
core, body, posture. Ceremony. Sort of like a recipe. I always forget an ingredient. One of the things when it comes okay is that when you're striking here, 1, 2, part of the not only your hip turning square, but also your hand. You could use your left hand that's no longer in use of anything else to sort of prop it against the back. So by doing that 1, 2 defense here, it actually lets you prop yourself up. Makes it a little easier for Tori to lift you up, in fact. So in some of the other katas, this hand is actually used to help. They say defense, but it also helps in doing the Tori's throw. Especially when we get into some of the other techniques like a uranage, this hand is defense, but it also props okay up into the right position. So don't be afraid to forget to use this hand as the part of defense. 1, 2. That's your defense. Okay. Look at the next one, the final one of this set. It's called kata guruma. And this term, definition of kata, it means shoulder, and guruma is wheel. So we're just going to go over that one. We'll just do this one slow motion. I'll try to explain it as we go along. This is one that starts off taking the 3 steps, and you're working ahead with the Sugiyashi steps. Sugiyashi steps, right? Remember, Kazushi is always progressive, so the same principle applies. When he starts off, he stepped forward, and Tori took over. All right, now let's rewind that a bit. The stepping of Tori. Again, he starts off stepping back 1. He starts off starting to control Tori. Okay, so as okay steps forward, steps back. Okay, whoa, whoa, whoa. All right, the second step, he keeps his grip that's on this arm to the inside of the arm. So he's cupping around the bicep area there. He's pulling there, okay? Now, you notice that okay is actually going to keep this hand still on the collar, lapel. I know some guys will say automatically on 2 to pop it off, but technically it should remain until 3. But you have to make sure that you're not stiff enough that you're blocking this pull, because he's going to start to use that pull to create the initial Kazushi. So when he's stepping back here, his body is going to step square. The first step is square here. Yari into this. All right, so going back to the first step, Tori is going to stay square, square, and on the third step is where he draws the Kazushi, so his body will turn 90 degrees, and he's facing toward the short hand. Then he pulls the left hand for Kazushi. It's really important that you show the Kazushi here, and this is where Uke shows his core. If you're nice and stiff, then when this throw starts to happen, Uke just basically falls on top of your shoulder. Okay. Now, common thing that happens with this one is that you notice that Tori did the pull here by taking a strong pull this way, but he also had to get his head down toward the hip of Uke. So it's in this region here, the hip area, that you want to basically put your ear, some guys say listen to his hip or something like that, but get your head down so that this hand is extending, this head is dipping, and you bring your lead foot back underneath you so that you got your center of balance back here, your support. Your feet are underneath you. As opposed to, you know, those weightlifters, when they pop up and try to do those weights, they have to have their weight underneath, the feet underneath them for balance. If there's any bit of wobbling off to the side, then you're going to lose the balance. You're going to not be able to achieve the lift. So in this case here, it's really important that there's a strong Kazushi. At the Kodokan, they said demonstrate it without Kazushi. Okay, so just try one without this strong left-hand pull. And this is what they'll want you to see. So stepping 1, stepping 2, no Kazushi, lift, try to do the lift. And that's where it's really impossible to do that. So it's really important that you get that stretch. And okay, again, you just showing off your core and just falling on top of your partner. So by being stiff, you'll just fall straight on. If you're the soft cat or something that's lying there, you're going to be dead weight, and it's going to be really hard for Tori to do the lift. Okay? Once the lift starts to happen, again, the front foot will come underneath, so you got balance here, and his head will come forward or upwards. What happens, though, is a lot of times Tori will look down at the mat, look at his toes, or look something there, and that changes the body posture. So now you're trying to lift up somebody basically with your whole back muscle and not really with your legs. So you really have to try to keep that posture as you do the lift. So if Tori can do it one more time here. Stepping your head. 1, changing grip 2, stretch on there and up. Now that one I saw that Tori did a 3rd time step back, right? When you're doing the stepping, it's back 1, back 2, and then here, this foot doesn't move ahead anymore. This opens up, and then you come back underneath this one. So this one doesn't move after the first 2 steps. So again, key points, posture, keep your core In other words, show your resistance that I don't want to be thrown, so I don't want to be thrown, I don't want, and then you get lifted. And then Tori, really strong pull, and try to work that posture when you're coming up so that you're over top of your feet and your center of balance is not way out here where you're going to lose balance. Let's try that one then. Kataguruma. You don't have to throw every time, by the way. We didn't do the throw. If you're doing the throw and you're not comfortable with it, use a crash mat. Use the crash mat because that's a long ways to come down. Actually, we didn't do that part. We'll come back to it. Let's do the lift first. Sugiyashi stepping. Okay, and then when you're doing the throw, you're going to drop that shoulder down. Yeah. Okay. Again, 2 more pointers. When we do the lift, okay, is going to use his backhand to support the back of Tori. Okay, so we're going to just flip it around the other direction so you can see what happens with Uke's hand. As he gets lifted, right side, do right side. 1, 2, stretch up, and then his left hand is on the back, hopefully, of Tori. Yeah, and his hand is pointed downwards, fingers downward, and he's not grabbing the belt. He's not grabbing the belt. He's just placing it there and you're putting pressure on. Okay, now, from a Tori point of view, I have you turn around toward the camera there, Eric. Turn around the other way. The one that's on the leg here is not a grab. Okay, for kata purposes, you don't get to grab that pants. You just cup that hand over the arm or leg. Just cup it over the leg. I'm going to have you do the throw part now. The throw part here, once you're into this position here, is to pull this to the diagonal corner. Diagonal corner. And for okay, it's a long way down. You're going from here all the way down. And it's free fall. So it's kind of a harder landing. That's why I said if you want to use the crash mat for this until you get comfortable, that's okay. I'd rather have you do a nice break fall on the crash mat than to be kind of scared and do a sloppy one to hurt yourself on the regular mat. Okay, so once you're here, drop the arm down and okay, maintain your core. Okay. Then when he falls, Corey is going to be able to use 2 hands to control the sleeve of okay, 2 hands. So diagonal throw here. When you do the throw before, we had you go sideways and straight over, but all the time the guy would hit his head on your leg when that happens. So let's go diagonal. Throw to diagonal. Try throw? Okay. So again, maintain posture. Okay, get the hand on the back, get your posture, and then go down there. That was more diagonal. More diagonal. Okay. And again, Tori finishes it with 2 hands going to the sleeve. And that was the case where your head was about here on rather than here, so you didn't dip over very well. Okay, have your feet together in that plank position. Really be feet together. Feet together and plank straight as an arrow, or straight possible. Okay? Stretch up. Yes. Good. That's the way. Stretch. I'll walk you through all 3. I just don't want you to throw. I want you just to get familiar with the walking part of it, okay? So grab your okay standing, let's say around here, and Tori standing in front. Let's go with the first one, will be Uki-otoshi. So we're just going to walk you through the Uki-otoshi with. Let's go. Okay here, bring your okay here. Tori's facing this way. Okay, with your partner here. Again, okay, we'll start to reach. Tori will take over. All right, we're going to go ahead. Step 1, step 2, and then you're going to big pull and drop without throwing. Without throwing. Bang. Okay, landing, turn around to this side now. To this side. So okay is now over here. Tori's in the middle. We're going to do left hand this time. So stepping forward with your left foot. We'll step back 1, step back 2, and Tori, big drop, and 3. Bang. Okay, the next one, Seo Nage, is done in the center. So you're equal distance from the center of tape. About 2 meters apart. Okay, you're going to do a hammer blow with your right hand, stepping left, then right. Tori's going to step in and pop. Yes. Bang. Turn around the other direction now. Left hand strike. So, okay, you're going to step right and then hammer blow left. Bang. Good. Okay, now at the end of that one, we go back to the Tori's side where you originally started. And we're going to be close enough that we're going to be able to reach and step forward. So this is the Kata. So you want to be roughly, they say, if you put your hand out in front, it's kind of the distance you want to have. Okay, you should just touch your partner, basically. All right, so again, okay, it's going to step forward. Tori's going to step back. Step 1, change grip on 2, up on 3, and pose. Yeah. Okay, bang, the landing happens, then turn around again. This is the left side now. Same thing, stepping, left foot, 1, change grip on 2, up on 3, up, core. Let me see those cores, feet together. And throw. Bang. And then that would be the end of the first test. So normally you would go back to your tape area way back here, but we'll dispense with that for this time around. Okay, so that was the first set. Uki-otoshi, Seo Nage, Kataguruma, under the hand technique category. Progressive kazushi is important. Body resistance, in other words, stiffness as needed. Stiffness is needed. You need to have that resistance. And again, the positioning of your bodies. If you have the kazushi, then the positioning is a lot easier to get in the right spot. If there's no kazushi, then Uke is going to try to compensate by jumping a lot of times, which judges could say, oh yeah, that's a jump. That's not really doing the throw. So Tori does the kazushi, the tsukuri, and the kake. Remember, kazushi, tsukuri, and kake are continuums. It's not just one, then the other. It's progressive kazushi right to the end, to the end of the throw. Practice if you haven't at home. If you want to watch in front of the TV and practice your hammer blows, and that's okay. You need to get comfortable with that left-hand side as you do the strikes. Same thing, okay? So something you can practice on your own. This is all to understand. Remember kazushi. How do you create kazushi? Get your base of support past your center of gravity, I mean, past your base of support. Okay, that's in balance. Look at the directions also. Again, if you're diagonal, your weak spot is there, weak spot is there. If you're square here, your weak spot is straight ahead and back. Right? So when you're practicing kazushi, oftentimes, okay, standing just square, because this is the most vulnerable position for him to be in. So that's the kind of principles, the details that you want to understand.